I can only base VTA on their track record of what they've done in capital projects. And everyone who's knowledgeable of that, I don't think Greg's disagreed. We build them on time and on a budget. So there's a lot of fear tactics saying, well, we don't know, we don't know. The money's there. We will not get approval. You will never have to pay the 8% sales tax until the federal government signs a full funding agreement. And that's only going to be done, ACOM, in the financial analysis of that system. There's money to build and operate. That's that simple, that's straightforward. So if you're worried about it, you have a check and balance.
We do disagree on whether there's funding available to build it. And we also disagree on whether there's money available to operate it. And if there is, then you have Mike Burns' phone number. Call him, tell him to release the email he got 2 months ago with current cost estimates. We still haven't seen current cost estimates, and we still haven't seen a current expenditure plan. The expenditure plan is nothing more than a spreadsheet. This is not some giant complicated thing. They produced a half dozen of them in 2004 at a series of workshops. It took less than 2 months to create this. And for some reason, it's taken them years to get this one out. So we do disagree significantly on that. And it's one thing to say VTA built things. You should say on time, on budget, under ridership. Because that last point matters. And then under ridership is going to cost you $1 billion. The other thing that costs you is that we aren't on budget. We're already $2.4 billion over. That's not on budget.
Okay, well, we're getting ready to wrap up. Do you have any questions that are totally different than what we've already discussed?
I've got one last one. You're all through.
All right, whose turn is it? Bob? All right, is it fair for Santa Clara County to pay for BART to bring the East Bay line down here? What will other counties that benefit be contributing?
Well, it's fair because we're going to be building BART extension for Warm Springs, which is Santa Clara County, in Fremont. No, it's Warm Springs right in Milpitas. So we're going to build it from down there through here. It is fair because we're going to get the lion's share of the benefit from it. 100,000 riderships can primarily come out of the Santa Clara County area. So this is a great deal for us. Can we complain and talk about the edges from the 2001 agreement? Of course we can. But we have an opportunity here that it's a one-time opportunity because we cannot wait another 4 to 8 years to fund this. Who knows what the construction costs will be? Now is the time to act, to build a major infrastructure. Now is a great time to act. Given the economic challenges we have, we're going to get 2,400 new construction jobs off this project, 7,000 permanent jobs. There's an estimate from economic analysis that every dollar we spend in this tax, which is this infrastructure, will generate $4 to $10 from it. We're looking at $29 to $59 billion over the course of several decades. Why in the world would Silicon Valley have an opportunity to add to its infrastructure say no?
Great.
Because we don't have any clue what this will cost in the final estimate, and we don't have enough money for it. And to the original question, no, it is not fair that we're paying for their stations and they aren't paying for ours. We're paying, aside from the state and federal portion, which is less than 20%, full vote. And then we're also paying for the share of the rest of the system when they are paying for ours. And Sam Ricardo, who did their debate this morning, on their behalf, this is their representative, said in an email, this is a bad deal, and we're stuck with it. So they know it's a bad deal. They won't say so publicly, but it's a rotten deal for our residents. We're paying for their stuff, they're not paying for ours, and they've got us over a barrel as long as we don't take them to task and try to renegotiate or think of other ideas. So ultimately, no, it's a really bad deal, and I think we both agree on that.
What I can't agree to is telling the constituents in Santa Clara County, sorry, we're not going to do something. We're going to just allow the parking lot 680 to continue. What a terrible speech for Silicon Valley. make a decision and move forward.
I think the residents of Boston would love to hear someone say, sorry, we can't do the big dig. You get your money back. And the residents of the rest of Massachusetts would love to hear that even more. Just because you thought it was a good idea once doesn't mean the numbers pan out. And if they can make the numbers work, if they can come forward with a good financing plan, let's talk about it then when they actually have numbers they're willing to talk about. But they don't, which means it's a house of cards. And in December, we're going to pull back the curtain. We're going to see the numbers. We're going to find out that this 4.7 is now 6. We'll find out more later after that. And if you can't finish the project, it has 0 riders. But $6 billion is $6 billion that you can do a lot with.
Okay, I guess what I'd like to do now is turn this back over to Tom for kind of a summary here. Oops.
First of all, let's thank Gail for being a great moderator. And secondly, how about a round of applause for our 2 debaters? And let's thank our volunteers as a group. Question gatherers, Tessa Whitmansey, Sophia, and Marshall. Servers, Ruth Tabanero and Jody Hucko. Waiter of the flags, Deborah Aaron. And the tables are open. And as a closing thought, in his book, The Wisdom of Crowds, James I always have trouble with his last name, Surowiecki, surprisingly demonstrates that if a diverse group investigates an issue and members make their own decisions, not slavishly following the advice of experts, in the vast majority of cases, the decision will be a better one than that supplied by a group of experts. I think tonight we've demonstrated that such a group exists. I'm looking at it. And I know your collective decision will be a good one. On behalf of Rose Garden and Shasta-Hampshire Park Neighborhood Associations, I'd like to thank you all for coming, and I hope this evening proved useful.